Okay, let's talk about different inventory methods. Here you have a typical problem where it says using the inventory records, show the following at July 31st. Doesn't matter the year here. You notice this is important because we're talking about July 31st. And then it's asking what is the cost of inventory that's sitting on the books on July 31st. Notice it is not asking you for cost of goods sold. It's asking you for cost of ending inventory. So let's take first under the LIFO method. If you remember correctly, LIFO stands for last in, first out. So you basically, you notice here on January 1st you had a certain amount, then January 20th you bought a certain amount, and then January 22nd was the last purchase. Notice there was no purchases between January 22nd and July 31st. Don't let that throw you off. Basically this is what you're given. You're not given anything else. You started with this, you added some purchases on the 10th, and then you added some purchases on the 22nd. And then it's asking you what's going on July the 31st in terms of cost of the ending inventory. Well, we know that with LIFO, we're going to sell what came in first out. So last in, first out. Notice this is the last that came in here. So with LIFO, let's go ahead and keep 150 units. Go ahead and highlight this. So last in, first out. Here's the last layers. So we're going to sell this and keep the top. Remember with LIFO, the very last units that come in are sold and the very top units are kept. Notice too that the pricing is going up here, 2, 3, and 4. So with last in, first out, LIFO has the advantage of selling these more expensive layers, or I should say expensing these through cost of goods sold, which can be beneficial for tax purposes. So let's go ahead and keep, because it's not asking about cost of goods sold, it's asking about cost of ending inventory. So we need to come up with 150 units. Let's go ahead and try to get up to 150 units. First, we've got 40 units. So come down here. We won't tackle FIFO right now. So we've got 40 units at $2. Okay, and that's going to be $80. 150 minus 40 is 110. Well, we don't have enough here in this layer, so we're going to take that entire layer. And this is going to be at $3. So that'll be $240. Notice that we have 80 and 40 is 120. We need another 30. So we need another 30 to get to 150. 40 and 80 is 120. Another 30 at $4. And that's 120. So ending inventory under LIFO, it's going to be the sum of these two. 240 and 80 is 320. 320, 420, 440. Okay, so that's LIFO. Let's look at FIFO. With LIFO, last in, first out the door, in other words, when you sell, you were getting rid of this and keeping the top as much as you could. Notice we worked our way down from the bottom. Well, FIFO is going to be the exact opposite. FIFO is first in, first out. That means you sell. Think of FIFO as like when you sell fish. When you sell fish, you tend to sell that which has been on ice the longest and tend to keep that has been on ice the shortest amount of time, back in inventory, and you pull it out. So the fish industry is an industry that closely mimics FIFO. First in, first out, and you tend to keep the youngest stuff. So here you have an old layer, then you have a newer layer, and then you have the newest layer with this January 22nd. What you'll notice here with FIFO is you've got first in, first out. You're being asked for cost of ending inventory. So you're going to sell the top as you sell it, but you're going to keep the bottom. And you're being told that you keep 150. You'll notice here that nice, neat, and conveniently, let's pull this up. 150 happens to be the bottom here because FIFO, first in, first out, sells the stuff that first comes in, and it keeps the newer stuff, and 70 and 80 is what you're keeping. So for sure you're going to keep that bottom layer, 70 units at $4. It's $280. So we keep that, but that's not enough because 150 units need another 80. So we're going to keep 80. At 3. And you notice this is 240. So under FIFO, the total is 280 plus 240, which is 520. And both of these are ending inventory. So what if it asked for the exact opposite? What if it asked for what is cost of goods sold? So we're going to change this to cost of goods sold. Now we're talking about a time period for January 1st through July 31st. Because ending inventory is a snapshot of what's left on a certain day. Cost of goods sold reflects the cost of goods sold over a time period. So January 1st, here's where we start, through July 31st. Notice we're assuming here that we're not talking about inventory coming in. This is the beginning inventory that we start the year with. Well, if you look carefully, nothing really changes. You kind of have the inverse. You kind of have the opposite of this. So let's push FIFO down. And let's ask ourselves, under LIFO, what is it that first goes out the door? Well, last in, first out. So we know we're going to keep 150 units. That's 40, 80, and 30. So we're going to keep 30 in ending inventory. The cost of goods sold, since we're keeping, we know we have 150 units, 40, 80, and 30. 40, 80, and 30 of this. That means 40 units are going to be expensed as cost of goods sold. Which is 160. Now let's look at FIFO. FIFO means, let me back this up a little bit. FIFO means first in, first out. Now we know that under FIFO, the ending inventory was 520. It was this 70 and this 80. So by default, first in, first out means these are the first layers coming in. Oh, and this is oldest, newest, newest. So first in, first out. These first in are the oldest. Notice here it's nice and neat. 70 and 80 is what's being kept. Well, you sell the 40. The 40 is cost of goods sold. So it's 40 at 2, and it equals $80. Cost of goods sold. Here, cost of goods sold. You notice something else here too, that pricing is going up. It's costing more and more, 2, 3, 4. The pricing is going up. And so if you're trying to get the maximum amount of cost of goods sold so that you can lower your taxes, notice that when pricing is going up each time you buy, LIFO is going to be better. Okay, because LIFO gives you a cost of goods sold of 160, FIFO gives you a cost of goods sold of 80. Now if price was going down, if the first layer was $2, then $1, then 50 cents, the exact opposite would be true. FIFO would be better for taxes. It would give you more cost of goods sold, and LIFO would give you higher, lower cost of goods sold. Because LIFO means last in, first out, and these cheap layers would be the ones that were kept. So you'd be LIFO, the last in, first out, you'd be getting rid of these and keeping these cheap layers as ending inventory. I hope this gives you an idea of how to work a problem like this. Any kind of problem related to inventory, it's a matter of laying out your layers, putting your layers, your strata, from the oldest to the newest, and then just recognizing that LIFO means the last in, first out. That means first out and sold, so these bottom layers are sold these top layers are kept, and FIFO is the exact opposite. First in, first out, these top layers are sold, and these bottom layers are kept, as you see here. I hope you found this useful.